I made a cozy light because today I want to show you and just talk about and recommend you some fall palettes. Palettes that just in me trigger the ultimate pumpkin spice fall vibe. And for that, I even got ready with a fall look that, well, what a coincidence, you will actually see tomorrow. This is featured in tomorrow's Get Ready With Me, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. And I just realized I have lipstick on my teeth. Blah. How embarrassing. I actually have 10 palettes for you that I call perfect nice fall palettes. Some of these you definitely can use outside fall, and if you know me, I don't care about seasonal makeup, but every now and then I just like to splash fall colors or just in general seasonal colors on my face. And I'm starting with the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes, and I always said that if this palette is not the definition of a fall palette, what palette could it be? I am talking about the Carnival 4 from Be Perfect. I am not 100% sure if this palette is still available on the Be Perfect website, but I am pretty sure it is still available on resellers. This palette is... this was actually one of my first palettes in this size when I got this, and I remember that I got this in a mystery box from a German shop, and there was a chance to either get this one or the Dominique Cosmetics latte palette. I don't know. I wanted to have the Dominique Cosmetics one, but I got this one and I was so disappointed back then. And now I'm sitting here saying like, hey, this is the perfect fall palette, and it truly is. I am absolutely in love with this palette, and when I used it today, I was just reminded how amazing this quality is. And I don't know why people are not talking about Be Perfect. Well, I have I have an idea, because I think the regular Be Perfect stuff that is outside of the Carnival line, this is by the way in collaboration with the makeup artist Stacey Marie, they're just shit. So the regular formulation of Be Perfect is just really not good. Oh, I forgot to tell you what lipstick I'm wearing. On my lips, I'm wearing the Kaleidos Makeup Liquid Lipstick in the shade NU12. I have no clue what this is exactly. It came in a set of 4 and they all have just numbers and letters. Next up, we have also quite a big palette. This is a 30 pan palette, and this also came out last year for the fall time, and it's the Beauty Bay Rich palette. The Beauty Bay palettes, the regular ones, they always come in 3 sizes: 9 pan, 16 pan, and 30 pan. I usually go for the 30 pan because that way you have the full shebang. And just look at this. Does this not remind you of a walk in a forest and then you come home and then you just have a glass of red wine? I don't know why this is such a cozy scenario for me, but it is. It looks so stunning, and the Beauty Bay formulation is truly, truly beautiful. I am always very hyped and excited when Beauty Bay comes out with new stuff. The only thing that I want to criticize actually is that some of these shades look like they can be holographic, especially here Thistle and Garnet. They do have some holographic specs, but these are sadly just oversprays. Then we have 2 fall palettes that are following a very similar mood and a very similar vibe. And this is, in my opinion, just the other side of fall. I think I tackled this in a different video. To me, fall has 2 sides. We have the early fall, the time where everything just turns orangey red, the leaves fall down, the sun all of a sudden has an even warmer tone of yellow-orange going on, and the light is very, very special in that time. That is what I see, for example, in the Be Perfect Carnival 4 and in the Rich palette. But then there is late fall. It's the time where, you know, the leaves have already been fallen down, the trees are empty, just a few leaves are remaining there, and The light has changed. We do not have the warm sunlight anymore. We get a layer of clouds every day. It's rainy, it's wet, it's squishy outside, and then I get into a very certain mood of colors that I usually call the dirts. And these dirts are not only dirty greens, I'm also talking dirty blues, dirty hues in general. Everything is like blue toned and everything gets a twilight filter going on. And of course, one of these palettes is my beloved ColourPop Twilight. And honestly, I'm working on my ranking for the Elemis, and it's very hard to not put this at number one because there is just so much emotional things attached here that I can't. And this is exactly what this second part of fall looks like. You know, the grass is kind of muddy and dirty. Your shoes are muddy. The weather is kind of depressing sometimes, but in a good way because it just gives you a certain fall mood and a cozy mood going on. And honestly, while I love the fire part of fall where everything turns red and looks like this here, the second part of fall time when we're heading now into winter, that's my favorite part. That's what I am longing for. And talking about longing, when I show you, of course, the Twilight palette, I also want to give you Blend Bunny Longing, because this, in my opinion, also really nice reflects this second part of fall with a bit more variation than in the Twilight palette, in my opinion, because you can go quite neutral and purple here, but the center is very, very wet fall looking, and I really adore this. My biggest critique with this palette was that the shades, all that's left and remember, are basically the same. Everything else in this palette truly wowed me, and I'm very, very happy that I caved in and bought this palette. And to me, this is a beautiful fall cozy wet palette. Next up, we have a 6-pan palette from an indie brand that is, for being it so small, quite expensive, but you get a very interesting color scheme, and I don't think that this is specifically marketed as a fall palette. To me, this has fall slash borderline Christmas vibes even, and I'm talking about the Clarity Cosmetics Stained Glass palette. This is the first palette that I personally tried from Clarity Cosmetics, and I think it's quite clear why this reminds me of fall and why I even have Christmas vibes here with the green and the gold. But I did 2 looks with this, I think, in a video. I will link the video down below. Edit the fucking link in the description box. I like this. I really do. I know Clarity Cosmetics has a bit of a difficult opinion in the internet. First of all, because of their apparently very bad customer service, and then there are also problems with the formulations. I had my problems with this formulation too. And I don't want to say that this is my favorite formula, but I want to point out that especially this one, the stained glass palette, this triggers something in me that just from looking at it, I want to slap this on my eye. I want to remove this makeup and I want to wear this because this is bold, this is dark, this is adventurous, kind of. It is vampy, like the fall goth, something like this, an autumnal goth. That's what I see, that's what I feel, and I appreciate this color story very much. I don't have a palette that combines these colors. The palettes are getting smaller and smaller, but I promise you they're getting bigger because now I have a quad, and this quad is a very special one because this consists mainly cream shadows. I'm talking about Rouen. This is a very interesting brand, and honestly you have to be open to commit to this because this is definitely nothing that will carry you through the day because it's all creams aside of this. But this is the Eyes on Me quad, and this is the perfect warm bronze rusty color story for a quick look. What I like to do actually with these is I take this here. This is the shade Selfie. This is the only matte in the palette. I use it in the crease, build it up for some depth. And then I basically apply this up here. This is filter all over the lid, top it off with flash for some sparkle, and use no, this is filter and this is Polaroid, I'm sorry. And then I used this one here, filter as inner corner highlight. It's not very versatile, but it's quick, it's easy, it's good enough for me to keep an all cream or nearly all cream eyeshadow palette. And it's very Fire Fall-esque. Back to the bigger palettes, and I know this might be a bit harder to get. Not sure if this is still available because it was very limited, and when this came out, I think 2 years ago, people lost their fucking minds, and I'm curious if this brand will bring out a palette like this for fall again, because we already have mid-October or beginning of October. Talking about the OG Tarte Man-Eater palette. This broke the internet back then because nobody expected Tarte to come out with this. Like, what? It's warm, it's golden, it's fiery, it's vampy, it is dirty, it is shiny, it is just a good palette. For me, I put this on the chopping block actually, because I'm not sure if I really reach for it, because I have so many other good palettes, but nonetheless, I can shamelessly admit that looking at this palette makes me insanely happy, and I just have to give it more attention. I used it very recently for a video and I loved it. I really did. But I keep it on the chopping block for a little bit longer to just form my opinion if this really has a place in my collection. But it would be a lie if I tell you that this is not a good fall palette. And maybe you have this and you just forgot about it. Then pull out your Tarte Man-Eater. You will be very happy. To the small palettes, I have a quad that screams fall, and that's the teeny tiny Victoria Beckham Beauty Smoke Brick in the shade or in the style Tweet. It looks so boring, but it is so good. The quality of the Victoria Beckham Smoke Bricks is insanely good. It is so good that I don't know, like since July or so, I am thinking of getting more of these. I really want to have Tuxedo, that's the black and white one or the gray one. Then there is a blue one and the silk one that's all shimmers. I enjoy the quality so much that I can live with the fact that these are basically neutral quads, and I have nothing big to expect about them but great quality. And I think the specialty of this here is the combo of this shade up here. This is caramel, the biggest one. That is just the perfect warm transition color combined with rust, which is just the perfect rust color. I've never before seen a rusty color like this. That is truly what the name says. And the last two palettes, they have a bit of a special place because the first one that I want to mention to me is this is, okay, now we're adding a third version of fall. So we have the fire fall when the leaves turn red. Then we have the wet fall when it's raining constantly and everything is muddy, and I just love that part. And then we have the transition fall. It is the time when the leaves have been fallen down. The weather is kind of done with the rain, with the fall rain, and we're getting back into a weather that gives us a bit more sun. The air is getting more crisp, and we're turning into the Advent season. Official calendar winter start is end of December or something. It's not in November or so. So this is basically that weird time between the end of fall and the official calendar start of winter. And for that time, that's the holiday time. That's the holiday fall. That's the end fall, the transition fall. We're transitioning from that one season to another, but compared to the other transitional times in the year, I think this is a specifically long time. Maybe I'm making this up, but I try to just explain to you why these palettes to me are still fall palettes, but more in the transition time. And the first one is the Aptly in Love from Too Faced. This palette, and I'm gonna give you a little spoiler, will also be featured in an upcoming Alamis video about the best Christmas palettes, because this is, for me, not only the perfect fall palette or one of the perfect fall palettes, this is also a beautiful matching Christmas palette. And I'm talking German Christmas. I can only speak, of course, for the traditions that I grew up with, but German Christmas for me always includes green for the tree, reds, golds, warm browns, and that's it. I know we have stylish Christmas that have blue and silvers, we have red and silvers, but this to me is just so German Christmas vibey. I cannot think of this palette as only being fall or only being Christmas, so this definitely matches in that weird transition in between. That was very loud. And the last palette is also in that transition area, but this does not transition from fall into Christmas. This transitions to me from fall into the icy season. I mean, let's be honest, winter, at least here in Germany, are not the same anymore as they used to be. Years ago, we had icy Christmas, we had snowy Christmas. I haven't seen Christmas or like snow on Christmas for years. So for me, this palette maybe is a bit clinging to the past, to past weather situations, to the way I grew up with Christmas, and also how I see this time when we go out of the fall time and the first snow is falling, you know, that first day when the snow is, and that for me is the Nomad Fuji 5 Lakes. I just forgot it, because this combines this. It combines still the fieriness of the early fall season. It has some of these dirty blues of the wet fall, but it transitions with these icy shades into the winter time. This is an all year round beautiful palette. This is probably the best palette Nomad has ever done. And I haven't seen, by the time I'm filming this, the Chicago Speaks Easy color story. So that's without seeing that one. I just adore this palette, and all of these 10 palettes I highly, highly recommend. But if you ask me, what palette for fall should you get? What's that one fall palette that you should splurge on? I want to give you two options, because if you are somebody who wants to have more so the wet fall vibes and the rainfall, either try to catch the ColourPop Twilight or Blend Bunny Longing. Not sure about this one because it is limited edition. I saw that it is still available every now and then, but I'm not 100% sure. And if you want to have the true definition of the fire fall, you know, the early fall season, and this is what you think of when you think of fall, then try and get your hands on the Carnival 4 from Be Perfect. Depending on where you buy this, honestly, this palette, this 45 pan palette retails for sometimes less than 20 euro. But now I want to know, what is your favorite fall palette? Let me please know down below. Maybe this is a palette I haven't even thought of. Put them all down in the comments so we can all benefit from that. Thank you so much for joining me. Sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any cool of the videos. And Alamis is just right around the corner. Can't wait to show you all these videos. Thank you. And I see you hopefully in the next one.